Welcome to this rating summary of American Honey. So the film has been rated for sex, nudity and coarse language. And yep, let's start with the sex because there is quite a lot of sex and sexual themed content throughout the film. There's several sex scenes. Probably the most the kind of graphic one is there's one scene that takes place in a field and it very much looks like these two are actually having sex, even to the point of where the camera jitters as though it realizes its own intrusiveness. The other sex scenes, there's two men up against a car. It looks like they're doing something sexually related. You see a female in a car with a man who has paid her to be there. So she basically masturbates him in exchange for money. You see one very awkward sexual content scene where a young female, she seems to be in the care of this older male. We don't really know if this is her father or her stepfather or what the actual relationship is, but he's obviously drunk and intoxicated and he starts to grope her, so it's a bit icky. You see a female in a hotel room with two other men, and even though you don't actually see any sex take place, you get the impression that there's probably a threesome or some kind of sexual partnering going on there. There's another sex scene which takes place in a car. There's one, I guess, crossover with the violence. There's one scene where a male sticks his fingers inside a woman quite aggressively and then sniffs his fingers because he wants to check whether she has had sex with another man. This kind of stuff. So there's quite a bit of, sexual related content through the film. And as I said, that one particular sex scene, which actually looks quite realistic. And in fact, there's people around me who were kind of looking a bit uncomfortable watching it because it felt so real. Same with the nudity. You see full male nudity several times through the film. You see kind of exposed breast from the female nudity. You also see a female in a very, very skimpy bikini. You see lots of, scantily dressed people as well. So nudity definitely plays a role in the film. Onto alcohol, and drugs. There's heaps of it in the film, particularly drug use, lots of smoking, what looks to be marijuana, smoking bongs and smoking joints. That is a very concurrent and frequent theme in the film, and also alcohol. These characters in the film drink pretty much every night, party every night, so there's lots of spirits and pretty much every alcohol you can think of is used in the film. Also lots of discussion about alcohol and drugs, so pick a drug, name it, and it's probably mentioned somewhere in the film as well. Offensive language, there's heaps of language in this film. C words, F words, S words, A words, lots of name calling and just kind of, rude words throughout the film. So that's another heavy subject in the film. Interestingly, the film hasn't really been rated for violence, but there are a few violent scenes in the film. One of them, people are shot at, or there's a man holding a gun and appears to be threatening some other men. And there's another scene that happens off camera where you hear a car screech and some yelling, and then one man appears covered in blood, like on his shirt and his face and so on. So you understand that there was some kind of altercation that happens between these men. And as I said, there's the scene where the man grabs the female and inserts his fingers inside her. I'd definitely call that violent. And there's, references to violence. So there's one guy tells a story about a woman who is kidnapped, raped, and then buried. So there's a bit of chatter about violence. But as I said, this film has mostly been rated for the sex, the nudity, and the banned language, not so much the violence, which I find quite interesting. The other thing I wanted to mention is what I'd call blood and gore, because there's the scene where you see the man covered in blood with his shirt. There's a few other sort of bloody kind of scenes. In that sex scene, the realistic one I was telling you about, before they start having sex, the female removes a bloody tampon, and it's quite obvious what it is. So that's a bit graphic. Look, there's so much content in this film. I think it would actually be better if you're concerned about what you're going to watch, to have a look at the content on the website, which is cinemum.net, because there's a much more comprehensive breakdown there. So please leave me a comment below if you'd like to share your thoughts on American Honey.